So I was talking to a friend of mine while at the War Room conference down in Austin, and he was telling me about a guy who runs a $15 million a year business that is dropping 30% to the bottom line, and the guy works 27 hours a month, not 28, not 26, and I'm not talking per week, I'm talking per month. So just how does a guy make that much money working so little? Stick around, I'm going to explain it to you in this video. So the fellow that told me about this is a fellow by the name of Trevor Crane, super cool guy, one of my customers. And so we're sitting around and he says, Trent, he says, I met this guy, he's doing 15 million a year, and I finally convinced him to spend some time with me to allow me to interview him so I could better understand how he does what he does and get such incredible results. And so I went into this interview and I had all these expectations that I was just going to get all this information, and here's what he told me. So we sit down and the guy gets straight to the point. He doesn't go down all the small talk rabbit holes. He says, Trevor, what's the thing you do in your business that makes you the most money? And so Trevor thought about it and he gave him the answer. And the guy's advice was, that's great. Do more of that and figure out how to do less of everything else, and then call me in 3 months and tell me how it worked out for you. And Trevor was like, what? That's it? Now, it's great advice, no question. But what Trevor wanted to know, and I'm sure what you wanted to know, is how? How do you actually do that? So I'm going to give you an example that's right out of this fellow's playbook. So myself, probably you, many people, we go to business conferences. And we go to these conferences to hear speakers, network, and learn ways that we can improve the performance of our business. And oftentimes what most of us do, self included, although I'm changing as a result of this piece of advice, is we sit in the conference, and in my case, I've got Notability on my iPad, and I got my little Apple Pencil, and I'm writing notes like mad because of all the stuff that I want to remember so that I can implement it when I get back to my office. But here's the problem, and I'm sure you know this problem well. Many of us, when we get back to the office, we also get back to an inbox with 100+ messages or more in it. We get back to all of the things that we're behind schedule on because we were at that conference, and we have pages and pages and pages of notes because of course we took notes like crazy because we didn't want to forget anything. But the problem is, how do we actually get all of that stuff implemented when we come back to an office and we're already chasing our tails? We're already behind because we were away. That's the problem that I, you, and everybody else needs to solve. Here's how the $15 million man did it. He said to Trevor, he says, I sit down there like everybody else in the conference and I pay close attention. He says, I'm not worried about writing notes. I simply am looking for an idea that I believe has the potential to have a profoundly positive impact on my business. And the moment that I hear what I think is that idea, I get up out of my chair, I go up to my hotel room, and I then take a piece of paper, computer, however you want to record it. I write a 1-page detailed description of what that idea is and the results that we're hoping to achieve. Once I've done that, I then call a person on my team whose title is informally Director of Who. And I brief my Director of Who on this 1-page document that I've just created. And then what my Director of Who will tell me is, in this case it's a woman, she'll say how long it will take her to find somebody to be able to implement that brilliant idea in my business. Now, the $15 million man, once he's done that, he's done. It's off of his desk. It has been delegated. His Director of Who will find someone capable of bringing that idea to life in their business. Then the Director of Who gets out of the hotel room, goes back downstairs, joins into whatever session he's interested in next, and waits for the second idea. And even if there is a second idea, maybe there's not. So when this person leaves the conference, and they spend actually an extra day in the hotel at the end of the conference to make sure that all of the ideas, and it may only be 1 or 2, maybe 3, are actually implemented in his business. So what are the takeaways here? Well, takeaway number 1 is stop sitting in every session and writing a whole bunch of notes on stuff that you're never going to get done. Takeaway number 2 is if you don't have a Director of Who or an assistant, If you don't have an assistant, you are the assistant. And so you need to find one. Now, the good news is you can find people with MBAs in the Philippines who work for multinational organizations who you can employ full-time for $1,500 to $2,000 a month US, because that is the equivalent of making $150,000 a year if you lived in the US. If you live in the Philippines, $2,000 is a significant wage, and you can expect someone with significant talent and significant expertise. Now, that person could become your director of who. Now, maybe your business isn't ready yet. Some way, somehow, you'll have to find your director of who. And then you follow this format. And the problem that you've solved is that you don't come back to your office with pages and pages of notes that you're never going to get done. If you have any questions or you have a comment, I would love it if you would leave it in the comments below this video, because it's your comments and your feedback that helps me to know if I'm producing content that you're finding helpful in your business. And speaking of delegation, my company Flowster, which lives at Flowster.app, the whole purpose of Flowster is to make delegation easier. In our template library, we have hundreds and hundreds of standard operating procedure templates and playbooks that you can immediately import into your Flowster account so that you can immediately begin delegating work to somebody else on your team, be they employees, virtual assistants, contractors, or what have you. And I would encourage, if delegation has been a struggle for you, or documenting your processes has been a struggle for you, and you know it, and you want to make changes, you want to make advancements in that regard, go check it out today at Flowster.app. That's it for now. Thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing your questions and comments below, and maybe having you back for another video soon. Take care. Bye-bye.